there's two Psalms. I think it's 126 and 127 that apparently have the exact same number of Hebrew characters, and the two kind of mirror each other. And to me, they're the two perfect Psalms. The first one, which I think you're going to talk about, the second one, unless the Lord builds the house. But it's not like they just like whipped these things out on a napkin one day. These were things that were carefully crafted and put together.
And again, that gets to the cadence idea. You know, we have no idea what the melody sounded like when they would sing and or pray. And we can imagine that they prayed through melody, because so many of the Psalms even have what we call subscripts, where, you know, beneath the title, it says to the tune of. And then it gives us, because there was apparently a commonly known tune, so they would sing these songs or these prayers, you know. So
can I back you up for a minute? Because sorry, but you were mentioning Luther and a mighty fortress is our God earlier, right? And I heard somewhere that tune was like a bar tune.
That was a drinking song, bar tune to, and then he put it to Psalm 46, you know, and the reasoning behind it, and of course, Luther never told us exactly, but the assumption is it was well known. It was a tune everybody knew. So
he wanted people to sing their prayers.
So you got Psalm 126, Psalm 127, the same amount of characters, which probably means the same metering, the same, you know, bum, ba-dum, 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 bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. But, you know, there are three primary influences over the whole book of Psalms. The first is the influence of community. The second is the influence of the exile when they went into, you know, the wilderness, and then later went into exile into Babylon or Assyria. Okay. And then finally, the future hope. And one of the best examples of that is in Psalm 126, verse 5, where it says, those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. You know, the first word, those, well, that's not me, that's us. The idea that even early on, there was no me. And then secondly, the influence of exile, those who sow in tears. You know, things haven't worked out like we wanted. We are disappointed. We're devastated. We're sad.
Let's read it. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. It was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord. And I don't know if they're looking forward, and of course I'm on to your third thing now. If they're looking forward to the restoration, the hope, or if
I suspect both. They are hopeful for the future, but they're realistic about where they are.
I love this contrast of sadness and celebration. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. And of course, we're not agricultural, but you're doing the hard work of getting those seeds in, and then and how crazy that laboring eventually is carrying big pieces of fruit. Those who go out weeping, carrying the seed to sow, same metaphor, will return with songs of joy. And in other places, you've turned my mourning into dancing.
Yep, and yet the future hope that overshadows all of the Psalms, giving voice to wherever a person is at in their own spiritual walk.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Advent and close our time today with that. Okay. So what does Advent mean?
Well, Advent means coming, the coming. And Advent is traditionally, historically, it's the 4 weeks preceding Christmas. And they had what was called the Christian calendar. The Christian year, it dates back at least 16 or 1700 years till the 3rd or 4th century. There's almost no question among scholars that Jesus very likely was not born on December 25th.
Right.
From the comments about the shepherds watching their flocks by night and grazing and all of that, most scholars think it was probably early March or early spring, March, April. Some people say, "Oh, we don't want to celebrate Christmas because that just it just parallels pagan winter solstice holidays." And
that's the big Jehovah's Witness complaint.
Exactly, and there's truth to that. There were a number of major winter pagan holidays. You think about, especially as the gospel became more entrenched in Europe, which is in the Northern Hemisphere. We're taping this in the middle of November. Suddenly you and I both know, and everybody else knows, that by 4:45, 5 p.m., it's dark already. It seems kind of depressing, so they took the darkest time of the year, which is the basically the end of November through, what we know as Christmas. And they turned that into a time of looking at the coming of Jesus in the darkest time of the world. And that began what we know of as the Christian calendar, where rather than order our lives by just weeks and days and months in the secular calendar, the church began to use the 12 months of the year of the revolution of the earth around the sun as an opportunity to kind of reenact and revisit the story of Jesus and the story of the gospel. Now we just have to kind of put our hand to the plow and follow after God and enjoy his goodness until that second coming, which is back when the first season, Advent, which is both the first and second coming of the Lord, comes again. So that's that movement, that rhythm, and there's really some great benefit to observing it, because it reminds you about the story of the gospel rather than just the days on a calendar.
Ordinary time is day-to-day life.
Yes,
that is what we have to get through.
That's right.
It's the now and the not yet. It's trying to live for God in the midst of
we are on the cusp of Advent now, where truthfully it is the darkest time, the darkest time in history.
Yeah.
According to John, the Apostle John, the light came.
Yeah, and it makes a candlelight service pretty cool, because it's close to the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, and we're doing an Advent wreath connected to the Advent season as well. Yeah. Well, thanks for that, and I'm excited to take our church through Advent, and honor the larger body of Christ, and see what this does to get our hearts lit for the Lord and to bring hope to us, because these are hard times.
Amen.